You know who's having plenty of high points? Tanner Wall.
Oh, yeah.
He's the only listed clear starter on the depth chart in Jay Hill's safeties room. He is the guy right now, and the guy made a game-changing play in BYU's win against Arizona. I had an opportunity to speak with him yesterday about that interception and how to not buy into the rat poison. This is Tanner Wall, one-on-one on BYU Sports Nation.
Tanner, here we sit halfway through the season. BYU 6-0. You're ranked 13th in the latest national poll, staring down Oklahoma State on a Friday night. But just out of curiosity, if you had to give yourself and your team a mid-season grade, what would that look like right now?
A mid-season grade for our team, I'd say somewhere in a B+ range, right around there. I think we've, being 6-0, winning games is hard. You have to celebrate winning, whatever it looks like. But we all know that we are capable of playing better football, right, on all three phases. You can't ever expect to play perfect, but you can strive to, right? And so, each game in the season, we hope to build on what we've already put out on the field and be better. So I think, we're definitely happy with the result of how we've played, right, in these first 6 games, but we expect to be even better and more dominant through the back half of the season.
What would it take to get to an A? Like, which self-critiques and criticisms would you have to rectify for you to feel like, okay, we are playing an A level of football?
I think, I think there's a number of things that we could clean up. We have, goals across all three phases, that we focus on as kind of metrics for our performance. Obviously our identity as BYU, something that we focus on a lot is taking care of the ball. And, Coach Kalani always says our ball security can always be better. It's never something that is ever too good, right? You can always have better ball security, so we always want to keep the ball in our hands, never give it away. And, that's been something that's come up a few times throughout the front end of the season. Defensively, obviously we want to continue to shut down the run game and, limit points that opposing offenses are scoring. So continuing to find ways to get off the field, especially on third down. Third down's an area of focus for us where I think we can still be a lot better. And then on special teams, every week there's a couple things that we could improve upon, right? Whether it's average starting field position or our net punt, there's still ways that we can find a way to improve and to be better. So, but I would say, across those three phases, those would be the things I would say that would help us get to that A grade range.
Tanner Wall is with us on BYU Sports Nation. He is a starting safety for a very solid BYU defense. Tanner, I know you're hard on yourself. So looking back on the Saturday game, I'm guessing I know what your favorite play of the game was on your closing speed interception to get BYU the ball back at the half-yard line. But where are you most critical of yourself in the performance against Arizona?
I would say, on the first drive, we didn't play with great poise. I think we got out of whack a little bit, and we're making some checks and taking blitzes off that we shouldn't have been. And so that's kind of on us as the safeties, really calling the shots there. So focusing on that and understanding what we're going to see and reacting to that, I feel like it could have been better. Obviously, McMillan's a great receiver. I think, we had a goal for a certain number of yards that we wanted to hold him to, and, he was a little bit over that number. So, there's, a couple plays where we could have played better. There was a play early in the first half where he kind of got open going deep across the field. And I feel like I definitely could have played that better, played with more depth on that play. But yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Now, I asked that question just so people understand the level of analysis that you are looking at all of this with, because it is next level with your defensive coordinator, Jay Hill, and he works with your safeties group. So let's go ahead and stay with the group. What has allowed the safeties to play at such a high level and enjoy so much success to this point this season?
Uh, I would say it's a combination of our preparation through film and just our care factor, right? Obviously, being around Coach Hill in such close proximity every day, preparing for games, he demands excellence and is not gonna, you know, strive for anything less than that. So we know that that's the standard and the expectation. And so we all hold ourselves to that standard and try to play to a level that matches that, right? And we watch a lot of film, and watching film with Coach Hill and even Coach Fowler, like it's a great opportunity to prepare for those games, right? Because if you're prepared mentally, you know, by the time you get to the game, you're just able to play loose and play fast, which is, I think, really what we've been able to do, right? And just react to what we see and play with a lot of confidence. So our preparation is top level.
Well, it's showing out, that is for sure. And I now want to go back to your interception, which, in my opinion, really gave BYU that initial sway of momentum that you took, and then you never looked back. So, I mean, look, you've got to make up a lot of ground. And if you don't get there, that might be a touchdown pass. So what were you
Right.
seeing on that play?
Right. Well, pre-snap, I made solid eye contact with Fafita. I was shaded over to McMillan's side, right? And I could see that he was really focusing on where I was going to be. So I kind of just kept moving to mess with him. But then took that away early in the play. So he, took his eyes off to his other receivers and then tight end. And so once he kind of took his eyes to the other side, I knew that he wouldn't come back to McMillan. So I just kind of took off running. And then, big props to young freshman D lineman, right? Vil Puha, who had an absolutely awesome play there, right? Great pressure, great hit on the quarterback right in his face. I think probably took a little bit of zip off that ball because I know, Fafita's got a strong arm. And so was just trusted my read going back to the field there and was able to go make that catch and get a foot or maybe two down. People have been telling me I think I got two down. So but yeah, that was an exciting play. And to see the offense, drive down 99.5 yards to go score a touchdown, like that's demoralizing, that was a huge momentum shift in that game. So I was grateful to be a part of that.
I was just going to ask you about the 99.5 yards. You're just doing those guys a favor, right? To help out in the total yards category.
Just building the stats, now that, Bretzloff came up to me, he's like, you just want us to drive 99 yards down the field, right? I'm like, yeah, you got that one under your belt, So anytime you guys are backed up now, you're like, you know what? We drove the ball 99.5 yards on Arizona, so we can do it again.
Tanner Wall is on BYU Sports Nation. Now you turn your attention to Oklahoma State, and I'm sure that you're already well into the film study of the Cowboys. So what is it that they bring to Provo, Utah on Friday night that has your attention the most?
I think just from a general perspective, they're an awesome team, right? They're coached extremely well, right, by one of the best and most tenured coaches in college football, who's always going to come out and give you a tough performance. Obviously, they have Ollie Gordon, who is one of the best running backs in college football. I don't know if some of his stats or performance thus far this season reflects that, but we've seen that from him in the past. So we know that is, his ceiling, right? He's able to be one of those game-changing players. And so, we expect them to come out and play us very tough. And kind of a get back game for us, right? Obviously losing on the road down there in double overtime was kind of a heartbreaker to end the season last year. So we're focused on coming out and getting this win.
Great stuff. We appreciate the insight and a look into the current state of BYU football, Tanner. B+ grade. We look forward to getting to that A range as we push forward, man.
Yeah. Some professors, they might curve that. It might be in the A- range, but that's all right.
We always like grading on a curve, that's for sure.
Yes,
Tanner
we do.
Wall, Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Thanks, Spencer. It was great to be with you. Appreciate it.